What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, and today we'll be looking at the latest news surrounding Arsenal. 6 days to go, people, until the January transfer window closes. Will we get any more business done? Will we get that midfielder that I really feel like we need to give us that opportunity to hunt down Pep? Obviously, a big game against Manchester City this Friday. It's probably good for Arsenal that we're playing the game on Friday, because it then gives us the weekend to really concentrate on transfers. Obviously, the window closes on Tuesday. If we were playing on Sunday, they would have had to prepare it all weekend and then rush. I think the game finishing on Friday night, it gives them the full opportunity to, make sure they get some more business done. For me, we're definitely at least one transfer away from where I think we need to be. But anyway, to me and you, it might be Wednesday, but to Arsenal, we're all in a good mood, so makes sense. They're going to drop new training kit, people. New merch. For Arsenal, there's no way that we could get away with beating Tottenham and beating Manchester United with them dropping merchandise, people. I'm in a good mood as well with Arsenal, so I am in a danger zone at the moment where if Arsenal drop a training kit, gets hold of me a little bit, next day delivery could be happening. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I'm vulnerable right now. If Arsenal drops something that looks clean, summer's round the corner, planning holidays, nice t-shirt. But this, come on. It just looks like a regular Arsenal shirt and you've put a few stripes. These men are on dial-up internet and gone on a paint application and just threw some lines on the side of it. You need to work harder than this, It's Adidas, we're top of the league. I'm ready to spend if you are, I'm like Wenger, if we find something good, we will do it. But I ain't spending money on that. Inflation is real, people. Anyway, let's talk transfers, people. We'll start with potential outgoings, build up to the more exciting ones of the potential incomings, people. So we start with outgoings. First of all, people, this broke about 15 minutes before I came on here. Just to put this into context, I've taken this off an Arsenal Twitter account. On the Daily Mail website, they've reported this story about Sambi Lokonga and put up a picture of Eddie Nketiah. Daily Fail. They call it Daily Fail for a reason. Listen, I don't think I should say too much, It's only Wednesday. Let me at least warm up into later in the week. If I speak, I am in big, big trouble. And I do not want to get in big trouble, people. Yeah, they've changed it. Well done. But anyway, the story. Arsenal have rejected an approach from Monaco to sign Albert Sambi Lokonga on loan, with Mikel Arteta unwilling to part with another midfielder after losing Mohamed Elneny to a long-term injury. I actually think this would have been a really good loan move for Sambi Lokonga. Monaco, good history in the French league, a better league than the Belgium league, opportunity for first-team football. But clearly with Elneny injured, we only really have three natural centre midfielders with Lokonga, Xhaka and Partey. Obviously, Zinni could go in there. So Elneny could be out for the rest of the season. People in the chat saying just loan him out anyway. Ish, you cannot be calling me Shaw Conga. That's outrageous behaviour. Now, people look at... Nah. I can't... Relax, you can't be comparing me to Bambi Lokonga. Yeah, people calling me Shaw Conga, it's outrageous. There would have been timeouts, but there's so many of you doing it. It's out of control. It's like the school teacher. If one of you throws a paper aeroplane at me, it's detention, but there's 25 of you doing it. There's not a lot I can do. So, yeah, thanks for starting that off in the chat, people. Sambi no longer, they're calling him. I like that one. But Sambi not going to Monaco. Disappointing for him. I think it would have been a really good loan move for him. I think he'll be disappointed. That would have been a good loan move for him. Anyway, let's move on. Let's look at another player that's on his way out. And I think this one will happen. And that is Cedric Soares, people. Looks as if this deal is near to completion. Do you know what I cannot believe with this deal? I'm genuinely shocked about. Cedric has still got another season on his contract. When I say brown, you say envelopes. Brown. Yeah, a few of you might have said envelopes. But anyway, Brown Envelopes FC, people. Let me put this into context, right? Cedric, listen, cool guy. Not a terrible fullback in the context of things. 4-year contract for a player that Southampton were releasing. Damn. No wonder Ralstonelli got sacked. He was probably building a new mansion just based off the Cedric Soares and the Pepe deals. Damn. Fulham are expected to complete the loan signing of Arsenal defender Cedric Soares. Sources have told ESPN the two clubs have now agreed in principle a 6-month loan deal with no option or obligation to make it a permanent. Good move for him. 6-month loan with no option or obligation to buy. So in theory, if he doesn't do well, he's back at Arsenal in the summer. The deal doesn't make sense to me. Arsenal just seem to have this thing of, we don't like money. I'm convinced that Arsenal don't like money. If you want a player from us, don't give us money for him. We'll just give him to you. Right, let's move on. Let's talk about potentially buying players. Arsenal are being linked with a move for Juventus winger Federico Chiesa. Now, Chiesa apparently is not happy. Chiesa's not happy with Allegri. In fact, his agent has come out and criticised Allegri, saying that Allegri is demanding too much defensive work from Chiesa and he's not getting the best out of him in his attacking, goal-scoring way, and apparently he's not happy. Chiesa, a couple of years ago, was being rated at 80-90 million pounds. People were saying one of the best players to come out of Italy in years. At Fiorentina, he was on fire. Got the big money move to Juventus after a loan spell. The problem with Chiesa, he's just come back from an ACL injury. He's been out for just short of a year. I was a big fan of him. Real big fan of him. Now, he could be available for 20 million euros. I don't buy into that one bit. He's got 2.5 years left on his deal. He's on £150,000 a week. And Juventus paid £55 million for him. So I don't see how, with 2.5 years left, on 150 grand a week, they're going to take 20 million for him. So, like I said, to add context, 150 grand a week, just come back from an ACL injury, which in football terms, an ACL injury is seen as one of the worst injuries that you can do in football. You're literally snapping the ligaments in your knee when you do that injury. Now, don't get me wrong. Some players, they do it, they come back the same, but some players are just not quite the same player from that, and the Premier League is not an easy league to come back from it. I think it's a big risk. King Issa said, Big C, as a Juventus fan, he would elevate the Arsenal attack. Listen, in terms of talent, natural ability and talent, absolutely no doubt he elevates the quality of this side. The problem I've got is he's been back for a few weeks from an ACL injury. It's like crashing your car and I turn up at your door and buy your car off you at full price. Like, you've just crashed it. I need to see how good, it's recovered from the crash first. I'm not just coming in and giving you full price for it. It could be a write-off. So if I was Arsenal, I got to be honest, I wouldn't do it. I would rather spend 40 million on a centre midfielder or a striker. I think they're two positions we need more. But if we signed him, I'd delete all of this and shamelessly, pretend he never got injured and just act like he'd never had an ACL injury. The game is the game, people. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Obviously, Arsenal against Manchester City in the FA Cup, which, for some reason, I feel quite relaxed about the game. I think simply because it's the FA Cup and I really want to beat Man City to get that psychological advantage over Pep. But I'm also... and I don't want to sound defeatist with it. I want to beat Man City, but if we go out the FA Cup, I feel like it's not the end of the world. Because I still look at our squad and think, do we have the squad depth to deal with 3 competitions? I'm not sure. I suppose the biggest damaging factor would be if we lose to Man City, that Pep's going to feel like I've still got their number. They still can't come here and beat us because we don't really beat Pep Guardiola's Man City. So, on one hand, I really want us to beat Man City to make Pep lose his head. On the other hand, if we don't beat them, I don't think I'll be having a meltdown. But don't clip me on this, because if we go 1-0 down on Friday and I'm shouting down the house, it looks like a massive contradiction. So it'll probably all change when the game starts. I said the other day, for me, the FA Cup is the third priority. The Premier League title, the Europa League, because we haven't won a European trophy for over 20 years, and then the FA Cup. That, for me, is the order. I think he's going to go full strength or really close to it because he knows that Pep Guardiola is a very psychological manager. And us going there and getting beat up by Man City could be damaging for that league game when we play them in 3 weeks. I think he knows you've got to get in Pep's head a little bit. You saw on the Man City documentary, for any of you that watched that, Jurgen Klopp was in Pep Guardiola's head. He felt like he couldn't get the better of that Liverpool team at one stage, and it really affected him. So I think we'll go close to full strength. I really do. I think he might make 1 or 2 changes, but I think he'll treat it like a Premier League game, I got to be honest. Let's move on. Let's get into press conference reaction, people. Let's hear what Mikel Arteta had to say. How do you beat Pep Guardiola? How do you beat him? I told you. Slap him round his bald head. That's how you deal with him. He's losing his head at the moment. He's being booed by his fans, even though he's the best manager that they've ever had. You go up to Pep, You pull out some Brill cream and you slap him round that bald head and say, hold that, boy. I don't care what you taught me. I'm about to take over from you right now. On how strong a team he is going to field, he says there's no more news on the team, especially no more injuries. Obviously, we have the 2 more recruits we made in this window. It's a big match, big test for us, in my opinion, against the best football team in the world. I'm looking forward to it because it will tell us a lot about where we are. Would you say Man City are the best team in the world, people? They're definitely one of the best teams, that's for sure. Listen, it's still the most difficult team to play against in the Prem, that's for sure. And he's always going to show Pep a lot of respect. On how quick Trossard has made an impact in the Man U game, he said, that's what I like. I see a player that is willing to make things happen and is especially composed in the final third, and he's something we need to add to the team straight away. He had a beautiful impact to help us win. I think there's a possibility Trossard starts on Friday. And if Martin Odegaard has given any advice on how to handle Erling Haaland, he said, no, I think they're 2 players in top form. How do you handle Haaland, man? We need to get hold of him. Don't give him space. And Saliba and them, man, need to rough him up a little bit, I think. On Zinchenko's impact, he said he's a player that gives us everything we want in that position, gives us versatility, gets a lot of attention as well, fills a lot of spaces, and that for us is really important. I mean, you feel like at the moment, don't you, that Kieran Tierney is going to have a decision to make in the summer because he's a very good left-back, and I'm sure he's not going to be happy sitting on the bench. But this is what happens at big clubs, man. Big clubs have big players on the bench. That's part of being near the top. Let's get through this quick. On if the 3 games against City will define our season, he said it would, because on Friday, if we're able to win and go through to the next round, and they won't, and if they beat us, it will be the opposite. Groundbreaking stuff there from Mikel Arteta. I never knew that, Mikel. If we win, we go through to the next round, and if we lose, we're out. Beautiful stuff, Mikel. Beautiful stuff. On if it feels more special pitting his wits against a close friend, he said, I would prefer to do it against someone else because I want the best for him. Listen, Mikel, no friends in football, my friend. Oh, football friends. Oh, I used to work for Pep, so we're good friends. It feels weird if we beat them. Nah, bond that. Go and turn the team over. Don't even shake hands after the game if necessary. Storm off down the tunnel. It's all over. The friendship's a mess. Make up after football. I'm going to be honest, I still think Manchester City are the favourites to win the league, just because of the squad depth, in my opinion. However, that can change very quick. If we win the game in hand, that's 8 points. If we beat Manchester City in 3 weeks and we win our other 2 games, that's 11 points. If we go 11 points clear of Man City and we've beaten them once in the league, I would probably say something different. 5 points clear of Manchester City with their squad depth is still not enough, in my opinion, for me to say hand on heart that we're the favourites. When you get to March and you're playing Europa League on Thursday, big Premier League game on the weekend, Europa League again on Thursday, then another big game, and you've got to rotate. Their level of rotation, they're going to be playing Champions League, not Europa League. Their level of rotation is different. They've got Cancelo on the bench, can't get a kick. Gundogan's on the bench. Laporte was on the bench. Kyle Walker's been on the bench. Alvarez. They're the players they're bringing in, in FA Cup games and Champions League games. We can't do that. We've got certain positions where, you can bring in a Tierney, which is equally as good. You can bring in, maybe a Trossard or somebody like that, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira. But you look at the midfield, they're bringing in Gundogan, we're bringing in Sambi Lokonga. It's just not a level playing field. Kyle Walker off the bench, one of the best right backs in world football. So that's my only issue. Anyway, people, thank you very much for tuning in today. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. Keep it locked. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all tomorrow, people. Bless.